welcome to another video. In this video, we are continuing on with the FM9, which I just got last week, just unboxed last week. Hopefully you enjoyed that video. If you didn't, check it out. This week, we're gonna dial in our first build of a custom layout. I did this with the FM3, built a custom, overwrote the perform layout and built my own custom thing. This is something I think I haven't seen a lot of people talk about doing, and I feel like it's a really good thing to do because every player is different, every player is going to want different things, but I think you can really dial in a layout that's going to suit your needs. And I like to have a good balance of standard scenes sort of slots, like logical scene slots, and then instant access switches, so that I hopefully am not really navigating between layouts when I'm trying to play a gig. So that's the goal. So here we're starting with just the base preset that we built last week, and let's jump right in. So I built an initial version of this. Where is it? Yes, layout 8. I'm going to clear all of this out. Okay, I actually realized there's a function to do this. So I learned something and you learned something. We're going to go to Edit, Clear Layout. And hopefully that should do what we expect. Good, everything's cleared out. All right, so what I want is, for my base preset, I have 4 scenes. And these 4 logical scenes are 3 levels of overdrive and then some sort of pad sound. Those are kind of like the logical 4 things, general things that I need sort of at all times. And what those are vary, right? Like in the pad, maybe it's a shimmer, maybe it's a tremolo thing, maybe it's a chorus thing, but it's always like some long reverb tail thing, something I can do swells with, something I can pick a little bit lightly with, that sort of a thing. And then again, the overdrives might be different overdrives for different songs or whatever, but there's always a cleanish, which is just straight into the amp, and then one drive and another sort of drive, like a little bit of light drive and then saturated drive. So the particular sounds and tones might change from song to song, but I always want to have those 4 main sort of sounds. So that's why they're labeled that way and not specific like intro, verse, whatever. It's really just like clean, overdrive 1, overdrive 2, and then a pad sound. So the first thing I want to do is I want to do the same thing I did in the FM3 and utilize the tap and hold to get me those 4 things in 2 switches. So where am I going to put these 2 switches? I think, let me put them here. I'm going to put them here and here. So let's just go ahead and start with switch 1. That's fine. We'll do scene, select, scene 1. And then in the hold function, we do scene, select. And for me, I'm going to set this to scene 4. Might be a little confusing, but for me, that's usually what my clean to pad scenes are, is scene 1 and scene 4. So I've got clean, and then if I hold it, I can go to my pad sound. So that's like... So that's my clean to my pad sound. There's something weird on the pad sound. Sounds like the chorus is on some sort of vibrato thing, but that's okay. We're not worrying about the sounds in this video. So that's clean and pad, and then I want access right next to that. I want OD1 and OD2. So scene 2, and then scene, select, scene 4 on hold. And another thing, well, we'll get to this with the instant access ones, actually. Let me shut up about that. So here, now I've got my, not scene 4, but hold to select scene 3. So now I've got my 2 overdrive stages. I can go from clean to overdrive 1. Because it's all tap and hold, and there are 4 distinct functions in 2 switches, with only 2 switches, I can jump from any one scene in those 4 to any one other scene in those 4, and I've only used 2 switches here. So I think that's pretty cool. The next thing I'm going to want is really like instant access switches, but I'm going to use per preset placeholders. And so I'm going to go, and we'll talk about why in a little bit. I'm going to say this is, tap is per preset placeholder number 1, hold is per preset placeholder number 1, and that's because you set them both because in the per preset placeholder you can set a different function for tap and hold in the per preset slot. And so let's go ahead and jump over to per preset for now. We're setting this switch here to per preset number 1 for both tap and hold. If we go over, I'm gonna set a default. This is my base preset. I'm gonna copy paste this for different songs and tweak it. So I'm gonna set a base set of per preset switches, placeholder switches, and then what I can do is then if I need to override it or change it in a different preset, I can easily do that, and then the whole layout is still usable. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is the delay. So we'll set it to effect, bypass, delay. And then for the hold function, what I like to do with these sort of instant access switches is tap is bypassing a certain effect block, and hold is switching between channels on that same effect block. For me, that just seems pretty intuitive. I'm not sure if the default layouts work that way. I don't recall. They probably should if they don't. It just seems to me very intuitive. And so instead of effect bypass, we're going to do channel. For me, channel toggle on the delay, I only use A and B. Really, actually, let's just make this general. I'll just do channel increment and decrement, and we'll tell it, yes, we want to wrap around lower limit D. So then what is this going to do? Important thing right now, if you look at the switch, I don't know if you can see it in the video, it only says delay 1. It doesn't say what the hold function is. And I like to go with, down here under mini display label, I like to say short name plus channel. And what that's going to do, I don't know if you can see that, is now it says delay 1A, so I know which channel it's on. And it also sort of intuits to me, based on the system that I use, that I can tap and hold this. And if I hold it, now I see what it's on. It's on delay channel B. delay channel C, delay channel D, and then hopefully back to delay channel A. So I've got an instant access sort of switch. I can turn the delay on and off, and I can switch between different channels of the delay, which I'll hopefully have pre-configured for different types of delay that I want. Tape delay, bucket brigade delay that's a dotted eighth, maybe a reverse delay, maybe something else crazy, I don't know. Second thing I would want to do, so let's go back to FC Edit, and let's go ahead and set each of these to per preset numbers. So I'm going to do this one is per preset 2, and this one is per preset also 2. And I'm going to go ahead and actually configure, well, let's skip this for now. I'm going to skip ahead and I know that I want this to be preset. This one right here, I want it to be a preset increment by 1. And when I hold it, I want it to be preset increment, decrement. I want this to be -1, -1, and wrap around. So now, one switch, I can increment the preset, hold it to go back. And for me, this works out well in kind of my flow where, generally speaking, I'm like not really using set lists and songs yet. It's not a feature that I've used because it hasn't been available to me yet. But I generally just copy and paste my base preset and throw away most of the other presets. I really only worry about my base preset, and then the rest of the sounds, I dial them in and then throw them away when I don't need the song anymore. So I line up the songs in a row for a given gig, and then I just start with the first one and then next. When I'm in the gig, I want that functionality of like hit a button to go to the next song. So that particular one is pretty valuable, I think, for me. And then I don't really need this. Don't really need the tuner, but I do feel like having a switch for the tap tempo, because I want to also have this layout be able to facilitate a sort of extemporaneous session where I'm just trying to like be creative, or maybe on a certain song I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do, and maybe I want to tap in a different like I'm on my standard quarter note delay, and then I want to tap in a different rhythm for the delay because I have a creative idea. And actually this I could use a per preset placeholder for. This is interesting. I could use a per preset placeholder for this. Let's go ahead and do that. And we'll set a default for that. Yeah. Because then I can come in and override it on a particular preset where I know I don't need the tap tempo. But I guess I can do that anyway. So I'm not going to do that here. Let's just keep it simple. The per preset placeholders are going to be for kind of instant access switches that will go in and out. And then the hold function I want to be the tuner. So this one's going to be tap to tap tempo, hold to get the tuner. Not that we really need the tuner because we have the tuner on the screen, but sometimes you want the more precise one. Okay, so now I'm going to go through and assign per preset placeholders to each of these 4, and we'll be right back. Okay. So now on these 4 remaining switches, I've assigned them to be the rest of the per preset slots. So they're all, this one's per preset 2, per preset 3, per preset 4, and per preset 5. So now let's take a quick look back at the preset, what we've got in here. What I want to do is assign the pitch, tremolo, chorus, and then I've got one more, I think, right? Yeah, so assign the drive in the same way for these instant access switches. So if you're here, I'm going to do let's do pitch first. So effect, bypass, pitch, and then effect, channel increment, decrement, pitch. And again, if you're surprised that we're incrementing and decrementing channels on the pitch block here, check out the video before. I really have only a couple of sounds that I use on that, but use it for like a pog and then use it for whammy, I think are really the only things that I use it for. And again, I'll do the same thing over here, mini display label, short name plus channel. So now I can see, okay, this is pitch on and off, and then I can change the channels. All right, the next one I think we'll do the chorus. Bypass, chorus 1, and then effect, channel, increment, and decrement, chorus 1. Make sure it's set to wrap, lower limit is D. And then again, set the mini display to short name plus channel so we can see there's our chorus. And then what did we have here? Oh, the tremolo. Effect. Set it to bypass. Was it pan trem or is it trem pan? Trem pan. I always get that confused. Effect. Channel toggle. Trem pan. +1 wrap. Not that I don't know that I really have different channels dialed in for tremolo at the moment. I usually keep it pretty simple, but you totally could. You could have like a chopper kind of thing. You could have different speed, different rhythms dialed in already based on the tap tempo. That would be very useful. Let me double check that I did this one right. Yep, so chorus 1, trem pan 1, and then I forgot to set the label here. And then the last thing, I know that I am really using the scenes to change my drive levels, and that's for good reason. Sometimes I'll use the saturation in the amp or the input boost in the amp. Sometimes it's turning off on and off drive blocks. Sometimes it's changing drive block channels. But it is useful in, again, those creative sessions to be able to turn the drive block on and off. Sometimes even on the pad, maybe you want some dirt, right? You go switch to your pad sound, then you turn on the dirt. That can be very useful. So this is really just, we're getting into the territory where like, this is too many switches for me now that I've lived with the FM3 for so long. I got used to just living in that world, and that's enough for me now. But this is kitchen sink almost for me. Like there's really not much in this preset that I need to change on the fly. And so this is mostly what I would need. I could probably stay on this layout for 80% of the time, to be honest. And then I can always jump to the master layout if there's something else that I want to do. Okay, so let's just double check this. We've got per preset 1, which is right here, delay 1, tapping on and off, and then changing the channels. We've got pitch 1, same deal. Chorus 1, same deal. Trem pan 1, same deal. And then the drive blocks, same deal. So pretty cool. I think we've got kind of like at our feet. Really, for me, I can live on this layout and I don't need to jump away from this. I could play the whole gig on this one layout. And for me, that's really kind of what I'm going for. I have only enough brain power, sometimes barely enough brain power to focus on this thing and executing that correctly and well enough. I don't want to think about tap dancing. And so for me, this is how I dial things in. I think more people should dial in custom layouts to suit their own workflows. If you already do this, let me know what you do. I'd be curious to hear what other people do. And if you made it this far in the video, I really, really do appreciate it. Please let me know if there are other FM9 topics you would like me to cover. I haven't touched set lists and songs yet. That might be something interesting to look at. Or if there's any specific things about the FM9 that you want me to cover, want me to try out, want me to compare it to, I would love to do that. I'd love to take in feedback in the comments, and would love to cover any of that stuff for you. Remember, if it sounds good, it is good, and thank you for watching.